Hi,
Oh,
Kinshu. How are you?
good. How are you? This strange light on my face. I'm
I'm
just
good.
focus it.
That's okay.
How are you? How are you? How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know there was some slight apprehension about having this live session today because of the status that both India and the US is in right now.
Right.
But like I'd spoken with Alok also, I think at Kasakai we're very focused on being with our community members even during this crisis sort of a situation. So we
Absolutely.
thought we should bring them some inspiration, motivation by talking to you. So
100.
thanks again for
No, thank you
agreeing to be
for
here.
having me. I mean, I think, yeah, you're completely right. And I think when even you all sent me that explanation of why we should do it, it was important that I was like, you know what? No, this makes sense. And you guys are giving me a platform
Yeah.
and a chance to really speak my mind and why, postpone anything at this point.
Thanks for joining us. I know that you're in LA right now, if I'm not wrong.
I am.
How's the lockdown been treating you, and what are you doing in LA? Why are you not in Bollywood right now?
So I've been here for a very, very long time. I've been here since 2013, actually. I came here for college. I came
Okay.
to study at UCLA in 2013, and I've basically been here since then.
Okay.
Lockdown has been interesting. Lockdown has been very interesting because the response over here was a little slow than we would have liked it to be. But it's
Yeah,
definitely, it has got started to get a little better, but there are a lot of other pressing issues that have come up since then
exactly.
um, have taken
Yeah.
up our focus. But since then, I think it's been interesting to be here. Why I'm not in Bollywood right now? अगर flight में जाएगी तो मैं वापस आ जाऊँगा. कोई problem नहीं मुझे.
Yeah, we hope you get here soon.
I know.
But what has your journey been like in UCLA? What got you to, pursue your academics at this point? Because it's very unique to see a second generation musician and artist like yourself to be pursuing academics in the first place. Like, most people would imagine you to be, you know, staying back in India and starting a career in Bollywood or something like
Well, I mean, if anybody knows anything about my family, is that उन लोगों ने पढ़ाई तो छोड़ी नहीं. My father's a
that.
doctor by
Okay.
profession. So, I mean, and my mother's a professor. So they've all set the bar very, very high, to say the least. So, पढ़ाई तो थोड़ी expected ही थी. I could not uh, overlook that. But when I got the opportunity to come to UCLA, I realized that I had the opportunity to sort of balance both academia and my artistic side. So I got to do a bachelor's in cognitive science, and this was
Oh,
actually the first place I really started to act, if I'm being very honest. I really
oh,
started
really?
acting
Wow.
in college, which is actually pretty late for
Okay.
most people. But I really sort of fell in love with it, and I actually had the opportunity to do both at the same time, which was different. Which was not common for a lot of people. How many, like you said, like कितने लोग बोलेंगे कि तुम
I
साइंस
know.
भी पढ़ रहे हो, acting भी कर रहे हो, गाना भी गा रहे हो. But my parents have always been supportive of me and have supported that drive in me, and I got to do it, and that's how I am here now.
That's very interesting. Actually, I'm glad. I mean, it is that way because I sing as well. I'm very fond of music, and I
Also,
think my parents have always focused on telling me that I should balance my academics and hobbies and all of that. And I
right,
think they're also very complementary in the sense that I mean, stuff that you learn with music like patience and humility,
right,
comes handy when you're working or when you're studying as well. And the rigor
absolutely.
that comes with education is also very important in arts, in
For
any
sure.
art for that.
For sure. I mean, I think in my subject also, there was so much emphasis on psychology. And as an
Right.
actor, you need to understand a character psychology.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
honestly, I will never ever think of my academics as secondary. I think everybody's told me one thing. The one thing that nobody can take away from me is your education. And I
Right.
really, truly, especially in these times, I really see the advantages of that. I seriously see it.
Mhm. So, what is theater like in the States versus, say, how theater is or acting is taught or just cultivated in India? Is there a difference in the method or just like?
Uh, Interesting question. I mean, I've actually primarily done a lot of theater in America, but I've been on screen in both India and in the US now.
Right.
I haven't seen that many differences. I'll be very honest. Low people are the same. You go anywhere,
I
people are the
know.
same.
That's true. That's true.
Ways of working
Yeah.
are the same. But I think the one thing that I definitely saw over here was I got to be in a lot behind the scenes as opposed to just being on stage and just being in front of the screen. I got to learn a lot, whether it was the lighting, whether it was sound production. So I did a lot of musicals over here just to see the way we matched our frequencies literally with the orchestra, set design, everything. I got to learn a lot behind the scenes, which I didn't back home. But it was not to do with India versus the US. India में मैं स्कूल में था.
हाँ.
मैं कितना सीखता
Okay.
बैठ के.
I
लेकिन
know.
over here, at least in terms of the value of also people appreciate theater a lot more over here. I mean,
Oh, so,
yeah,
okay.
for student theater, they charge tickets
Huh.
for $30 to $40, and people pay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Ah.
it's something that also helps produce more theater over here, especially student theater. 'Cause that's primarily what I did through UCLA, and our productions were massive because we were getting that kind of financial backing.
Exactly. And that support is very important. I mean,
Very.
I think you've grown up in New Delhi, and
Yes.
Delhi has a lot of has a strong theater culture,
Yeah.
but still it's
Yeah,
it's
of
very
course.
difficult to sustain, as a theater artist because you don't have that financial support. So that's very interesting.
Right.
But so I know that you've worked on a couple of short films. You worked on a film in 2017 and 2018,
Yeah.
and both of them are very, very interesting films. I mean, their storylines are phenomenal and they're so different. Like there's
Very.
one about Kashmir, it's
Yeah.
extremely serious, and
Yeah.
and the other one is very light-hearted, very fun. And I mean, how did you come across these projects? Why did you think of taking them up in the first place?
One word, my father. Just basically.
I was
Uh,
getting to that.
I
Yeah.
can't even lie about it. No, actually, I had just finished a really big production over here for theaters. It was called In the Heights, and I had just flown back home.
Okay.
And my dad actually had gotten the opportunity to make films with Royal Stag, which was the first film, which was Jia Jai. And my dadi's from Jammu and Kashmir, and my father was raised there for at least the first 5 or 6 years of his life. So it's a topic that was very, very close to our heart, not just as Indians, but also as people from this state. And when the story came along, which was written by my aunt, I mean, it's a very household production that we have. When we wrote the story, it just resonated so much. And Kashmir has been an issue for so long, and the struggle has gone on for so long. But the one thing that I think all of us seem to forget is that regardless of your politics, there are people who are actually suffering at the end of the day. So when I got the opportunity to even like be a part of it, I didn't know at what capacity I could do it, but I was just so excited. And then, of course, because of Royal Stag, that whole film came to be, and it was such an amazing experience. I mean, overall. But of course, we couldn't make a sequel to that because if nobody's watched it, I die. I die in the end. So we couldn't have a sequel to that. But then Ik Tarfa came to be, and I think the whole concept of Ik Tarfa was so different. There was no political undertones to it, but I feel like there was still some social undertones to it. The way we spoke about love, the way we spoke about importance of marriage and importance of friendships. But it was so different from Jia Jai. But I'm glad I got to do it, and I think that's the beauty of art.
Exactly.
You can, in one way, give such a strong message that is political, that is so relevant. Another way, just make people laugh, and make people feel happy and give them a warm feeling at the very minimum.
And was it a challenge for you to like take on these vastly different roles in the sense, or was it like, I mean, is it in your nature to just sort of adapt with any role that you find? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of training that goes in the background.
There is a lot of sort of character development that goes on. I mean, I've taken plenty of classes over here in school, and I do it in a very theoretical way.
Right.
But there's a lot of, I ask a lot of questions. Actually, to give more context, yes, Jia Jai was based in Jammu and Kashmir because of my dadi, and Ik Tarfa was based in UP because of my dadu. So it's
Oh wow.
just, yeah, so I actually had a lot of personal sort of training that went into how baat kaise karte hain, you know, wordings that you use, body language, which is very important, you know, in terms of, you
Yeah.
know, how you can't play a guy from Delhi the way you play a guy from West Bengal,
Exactly.
because there
Exactly.
are a lot of differences amongst us in terms of even the smallest of, you know, the nuances are very important in terms of acting. So it was difficult. It was not the easiest to switch, but I think the way the script was placed, my co-actors were fantastic, which were Sahiba Wali for Jia Jai and Pavitra Mattu for Ik Tarfa. It really, really helped me a lot. And I think just the way the script was written, the way things were set up, it all helped
Correct.
me bring my character together.
Yeah. And so I also know that Dr. Palash Sen has directed, your father has
Yes.
directed and produced both movies. So,
Right.
and he is like this rock star that all of us have grown up seeing, you know, as part of Euphoria. I
Right.
mean, what was it like working with him? I mean, I'm sure he also had various avatars, like a father, you know, avatar, and a musician avatar, and a director
You know,
avatar.
it's
So
funny.
what was
It's funny. I'm not scared of Palar Sen, my father. I'm scared of Palar Sen, the director. I won't lie about it.
Okay.
Because,
All
and
right.
this is actually a compliment to him, he has to be one of the most focused um,
Right.
creative minds that I've ever met in my life. You know, I think I've seen him write music my entire life,
Exactly.
and I've seen him in that process of songwriting, and I think he's one of the best songwriters I've ever seen in my life. But to see him as a director was very different. But I think when you're a creative mind, it's very similar in terms of
Yeah.
how detail goes into it. So he knows everything that he wants, which as an actor is an absolute treat. You know, he knows
Mm.
ki, I want this scene to be this way. I want, you know, the placements to be this way. I want the emotion over here to be this way. So for me as an actor, there's less of a guessing game. You know, I don't have to
Oh,
be like, oh, how much movement can I have in this? Because especially coming from theater, we have so much space to walk around
right. Just to
on
move around.
screen.
Yeah. Use the
It's
space.
this
Exactly.
literally what I have right now, you know.
Correct.
And
Correct.
to have that sort of clarity with him really helped me, and I think it helps everybody to know what we want. The only thing is, it is just because he puts so much trust in you,
Yeah.
it's really scary because you're like, I can't let him down. I cannot let him down at any cost. So it was really amazing. It really, really was amazing. And I'm so grateful to have gotten the opportunity through him and through Royal Stag Ballet Select to do these films when I had nothing on my reel at all. You know, I had no backing at all. And he took a chance on me. Of course, he
Correct.
says it's because मुझसे fake actor तो कोई मिलेगा नहीं, which is also true. But
I know exactly.
ये वो तो घर पे, you know, homegrown talent तो कहाँ मिलेगा? But right.
Correct. Correct.
So it really was such a pleasure.
All right. But so so you recently also worked on a campaign with Like app where you're doing
Yeah,
a
like,
really fun campaign with them. So how did you decide to do that? And it's got a lot of popularity and it's
yeah, I
been
mean, I think last I checked, we crossed 150 million views.
exactly. I mean that's
It was
amazing.
amazing. I mean, Likey has been such a dark horse, I'd say. It came out of nowhere. I mean, I never expected that during quarantine that this will be happening. But you know, Papa ne kaha ki karte hain. I didn't question it. And they just gave the opportunity. We did everything on the phone.
Right. Right.
We were directed on the phone. We lit ourselves. I lit myself with desk lamps
Oh wow.
and like turned on the light accordingly.
Full on jugaad.
Full on जुगाड़ मतलब और तो कुछ था नहीं और
हाँ.
nothing could be, you know, I couldn't go to a store to get new lights, so full on जुगाड़ I did. I got like literally these lamps. I turned them to myself and I gave myself light and shot everything with my phone, kept sending everything to them to, you know, approve, and it just kept going on. I remember Millie, who was the Likey star, she shot in the morning and I shot at night, and pura din we just kept shooting, and it was really something. And it's almost weird saying that it has 150 million views because
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy. Like
Correct,
the
correct.
fact that it has got news coverage for a campaign is amazing. But so I'm very thankful to Likey. Very, very
Of
thankful.
course. Yeah. And I think the music's really catchy. That's one of the reasons why probably it really caught on
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's just such a simple song, but it stays.
correct,
I think
exactly.
you go about your day and you're like, oh
I
yeah, I'm
know
singing this
it's really
song.
in your head.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you have like training before you went to UCLA in acting or in music, or I mean, did you have like formal training in music, or was it like just something that came naturally? So you were.
No, nothing. I have actually the only formal training I've gotten in music has been I learned the piano. That's the
Okay.
only formal training I've actually gotten. But I've been singing backup vocals for Euphoria for forever.
I
Um,
know.
I
Yeah.
s- I want to say I started when I was 8,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I
Wow.
officially joined them and started singing with them when I was 16. I want to say.
Okay.
Of course, that didn't last long because I came here. But whenever I go back,
Mm.
I sing with them as much as I can. So
Right.
technically, no, I've never had formal training as such. Even
Yeah.
for acting, my first show was actually when I was 14 years old. It was Romeo and Juliet, um, which I feel like is the first show for most actors
I know.
everywhere.
I know.
It's the
Oh,
most
yeah.
basic
So did
thing.
you? Sorry. Sorry. Go on. Go on. Sorry.
No, so yeah, so I never really got formal training till then. But when I came here, I definitely took a lot of classes at UCLA with acting, not music again, but I was part of an a cappella group called Brew and Harmony. It was an all-male a cappella group, and I've been part of two different theater companies over here, which were Shakespeare Company and Hooligan. So I've actually gotten a lot more practical training than I have theoretical training. But
Yeah.
honestly, it's taught me as much. Not that I want to look down upon theoretical training at all. I mean, I think they're absolutely fantastic, and I see the kind of confidence that they've sort of built because of the kind of
Correct.
training that they have, which is something that I had to really work on, and maybe I could have had if I had professional or theoretical training. But practical training in itself, with either with Euphoria or with theater companies here, has really helped me develop confidence more than anything else, in
Correct.
myself and in my abilities.
So what was that like one moment that made you feel like नहीं यार अब तो actor ही बनना है life में और कुछ नहीं करना है?
I'll actually tell you, it's a very strangely definitive moment. But like I was saying, I was in a show called In the Heights at UCLA, and it's
हाँ.
basically a musical. And
Oh.
I was playing the role of Benny, and he is a very actually the undertone of all the characters that I've played is lover boy, which has been really funny. But as was he. So the girl I was opposite, cast opposite was Dana Gaya. She's an actress over here. She's in the Despicable Me franchise with Universal. So her entire team was actually here. Her manager, her casting, friends, her agents, and everybody. And they took a liking to me through that. And they reached out to me, and this was only like 2 or 3 years ago. They reached out to me and they were like, actually, are you interested in acting as a job? Or,
Right, right.
to be cast in productions over here. And I was like, I don't know. मुझे पता नहीं, मैं पढ़ाई कर रहा हूँ, let me study. And I spoke to my parents and everybody, and my parents were like, especially my dad was like, Kinshuk, if you want to do it, do it.
Yeah.
But that still really did not, convince me that I can do this. And actually, after graduation, also, I took up a job in science. I was working in research for a year and a half. And I think as time went on, after Jia came out, after Ik Tarfa came out, and I started seeing um, the way people were reacting and seeing that, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe this is not something that I just made up in my mind, but
Okay.
it's something that is possible. And I think for me, honestly, the thing that really, really helped me develop that confidence again was other people's, not approvals, but like their sort of, yeah, I guess stamp of approval that, you know what, yeah, and
Yeah.
them building my confidence for sure. I mean, for them to be like, you know what, you're a foreign actor, but we're ready to take a chance with you, was like, okay, this might be something. This might be something worth trying.
Okay.
And it really was such a pleasure to be a part of them and part of that company. And I think for me, yeah, that definitely would be the definitive moment that I was like, you know what, this might be something I could possibly pursue.
So there was no influence from, say, your father or from your family that नहीं अच्छा मेरा बेटा musician ही बनेगा या मेरा
No,
बेटा
no, no. My dad definitely wants me to have a band. I think my dad
correct,
definitely
correct.
wants me to
Yeah.
have a band,
I
but
will assume.
it's
Yeah.
not. It's not happening. I'll tell you right now for a fact, it's not happening.
Correct.
I'll play a band member actually I did my first my debut film, my feature film in Hollywood is actually about four boys who are making a band, and I play the pianist. My character's name is Anderson, so that's the most I'll do. That's the closest I'll get to making a band, which will be on screen.
You're
That's
clear
it.
on that front at least.
Right.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, coming from a family where your dad is such a big star, do you feel like, it's like a double-edged sword in the sense that on one end you do have like a network in the industry, you have like a foot in the door, but at the same time there's a lot of pressure, that okay, matlab Palash Sen ka beta hai, so he has to ace everything,
Right.
everything he does. Do you think, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
I mean, I can't deny the kind of privilege that I've been born with. I can never sort of deny that, because not just, networks and stuff, because that can be subjective. I grew up in Delhi. My dad never really, lived in Bombay. I never grew up around those the people in the industry. So, but the kind of training I got for free, or the inside workings of the industry that I know through my dad, is definitely something that I cannot deny. That kind of privilege I cannot deny at all. And my hope is that, yes, I do acknowledge that privilege of mine, and I can fight to prove the fact that I am worthy of being in this industry. But I do agree, as much as people don't want to hear that side of it, that yeah, there is a strange amount of pressure. I can't come up with another Mairi. I
exactly. I
can't come
mean,
up
it's
with another Dhoom Pachak,
really
but I
counts.
can come up with different things that hopefully will touch people um, at the same wavelength.
Right, right. Agreed. So, I mean, who are your favorite actors and what are some of your favorite movies? And
Oh,
yeah, let's
in
start.
in Bollywood, I would say Amir Khan for sure. I mean, my favorite movie, if I have to say, at least in Bollywood, at least will be a tie, and both will be his films. One will be Rang De Basanti, and one will be Three Idiots.
Yeah,
Like
both really.
phenomenal films. And I think my biggest thing, especially coming from Jia Jai, was the fact that he spoke about two such relevant topics and two
Right.
such important topics, and he did it so superfluously. I mean, it was brilliant the way he did it. And he's a brilliant actor, he's a brilliant storyteller.
Yeah.
And I'm in absolute awe of him. And I think for Hollywood, I would say Meryl Streep. For me, that woman can do no wrong. She
Yeah.
is she's the pinnacle of what acting is. And I think for me, I think my favorite movie of hers would be Sophie's Choice, which I can only watch once in like 4 years because it's the most depressing film in the world. But she's so good. She's so bloody good in it. So them, and I think these are probably my favorite films. My favorite film of all time is actually Kill Bill by Quentin
That's
Tarantino.
a classic. Like, I mean,
Classic
that's
film.
something
Definitely the
classic.
first one, if I have to choose. But I think that'll probably be my. I wish I could give you a more, emotional film and something that has a lot more meaning.
That's
But
fine. That's perfect.
I love
So if
film.
you had to if you had to remake a movie and if you had to play a part in one of these movies, then which movie would that be and which role would you choose?
Oh, amongst these movies or any movies that I've done or any movies that I like.
Any movie that you like.
Well, Jack and Titanic for sure.
Wow, okay.
Definitely. I mean, that'll be like the pinnacle. Also because we've never seen brown men play those kinds of roles, especially in
That's
the
true.
West.
That's true. Right.
You know,
Yeah, I mean,
we're always
that's
the
very
comic relief.
that's true.
But
That's true.
that'll be definitely. And if in India, I want to play Pooh in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum.
Oh wow, really?
The most iconic role that has ever come out of Bollywood is Pooh from Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum.
I know. I think a lot of at least people from our generation really relate to the role and are very fond of the whole character in general.
Absolutely. My sister and I can probably recite every single dialogue from the film while the film is going on. we've watched it at least 100 times.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So, I mean, is there somebody in the industry, like maybe Hollywood or Bollywood, who's like your idol in the sense, someone you can really associate your personality or your art with? I mean, somebody this you just look up to, like, banna hai to iski jaisa banna hai types.
Ooh, a lot of people. I would definitely have to say the late great Irfan Khan.
Sorry about that.
Okay. I would definitely say
Sorry.
Irfan. Oh, sorry.
I'm, no.
All good?
All good, all good.
Probably Irfan Khan because of the roles that he chose. I think he did such a brilliant job. But if I have to be really, really honest about it, I'll have to say Priyanka. I mean, what she has done is so unprecedented, and she's done it so well. I can't deny it. I mean, before 2014, I must share this. I mean, I came here in 2013, and it took me almost 3 months to audition for my first show at UCLA because I was like, एक तो मैं भूरा हूँ, ऊपर से I'm foreign. Who's going to take me in their shows? Because all of their lineups were white. Every theater show I saw over here, at least the lead cast was all white, always white.
Right.
So I was like, who's going to take me? And I think I took a chance and I auditioned for my first show, which was Much Ado About Nothing, and I got one of the lead roles. But even then, I had to answer so many questions about being an Indian actor. But after she came in with Quantico, half of those questions went away. Because representation matters, and positive representation is so, so, so important. And she really, really, really killed it with Quantico. I think that's something, and everybody watched her. She was everywhere around LA, like in terms of billboards. And of course, I can't deny, people like Mindy Kaling who've done so much work, now Kumail Nanjiani who's done so much work and have done good work. But the way Priyanka transitioned from Bollywood to Hollywood and she goes back and forth is something that I hope I can do one day.
And she manages both really well. I mean,
she does. She really does. I don't know how she does it. One flight back to India takes it out of me. So I don't know how she flies back that quickly and that often.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, I mean, is it tough to be an Asian in the theater scene abroad? I mean, we all keep listening about it's tough to get a chance in some of these places. But how tough do you think it really is?
It's not easy. It really has not been very easy, especially in Hollywood, which is why I'm so grateful for my debut film over here. To get that kind of role in your first go and to work with the people that I have worked with in this film has been such an amazing process for me. I'm playing a role that, this boy is a pianist. He is an introvert and he's kind of a ladies' man, and he happens to be Indian, which I think as Indians, we're never sort of awarded that kind of privilege to not have the story revolve around our race or ethnicity. We're sort of always restricted to it. And I think as Indians, we always should have pride when it comes to our ethnicities, but it should not be limiting. That's not the end all be all of us as people. We're all different people and we all should be represented that way. And especially in India, I mean, you cross state lines and people's language changes, people's clothes changes, people start looking different. So it's so important that we have that kind of representation. So it's not been the easiest, but I will say, thanks to my, even my management company and everybody, they really fight hard for me. They really fight hard for me, and things are changing. They're very slow. They're very slow, but things are.
And it'll take time, I'm sure. I mean, it's not.
It will. Nothing happens overnight. And I think things that happen overnight also have the highest chance of finishing overnight as well. So if this has to last long, it'll take some time.
Yeah. And so we've, like I said, we've seen Euphoria growing up, and, Pallav sir is like an idol for us. And I have deep respect for him because he's spoken about independent music. He's been speaking a lot about issues that a lot of mainstream artists don't really bother about.
Right.
And he's consciously kept himself away from mainstream, say Bollywood, and he's been creating beautiful music.
Right.
And I mean, where do you see yourself, say 10 years down the line? Do you plan on being a part of mainstream Bollywood or mainstream Hollywood for that matter? or do you share his sensibilities or taste? I mean, what is it like? What are your plans?
I think for me, the first thing that I think I always say is that if there's good work, regardless of where it is, I'll do it. You know, whether it is mainstream on screen, whether it's on TV, whether it's digital, India, US, Mexico, UK, wherever, I'll do it.
Right.
You know, but I think what he always tries to say is the fact that regardless of what kind of music is being made, I'm sorry, not what kind of music, but like where the music is being made, it should have the equal opportunity to be heard by everyone. You know, it should not just be a disparity because of the amount of funds that are going in promotion. That I do agree with. I completely agree with the fact that there should be equal opportunity for every single form of music, every single artist that is out there. If they're good, they're good. And that should sort of just be the bottom line. Which is why I'm so glad, you know, that even with Likey, that they are giving an opportunity to make original content, and it's getting these kind of a response. You know, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Even with like other digital platforms, even on YouTube, I mean, finally there is a platform for anyone and everyone, from, you know, the US sitting in, say, Kentucky, to India sitting in, say, West Bengal, and they have the opportunity to make songs and actually collaborate with each other, you know, across all borders. So that's something that I'll definitely say. I have not planned out anything, and I think 2020 should be an indication that none of us should be planning our lives out that much, because it might not go the way we want it. But whether it is in mainstream, whether it is independent, I'll happily do it. If it's good work, I'll do it. But my only hope is that all of it is watched and all of it sort of gets treated the same, regardless of the source.
Right. And I think a lot of platforms now are really democratizing this whole, you know, just art in general. I mean, like you said, even Likey, it just came out from nowhere, and, you know, it's been creating a lot of good content. So I think it's going to be the future for all of us, I guess. But so tell me one thing. So what are the top 3 things that you've learned from, you know, being a part of Euphoria or singing with them from the time you were 8 years old? Top 3 or top 5, or what, like top things that you would.
The first thing I've learned is don't eat before a show. I'm kidding. Okay. But the first, I think.
Yeah, that's what I also learned, actually. Yeah.
No, because acidity is real. It'll come out. No, the first thing I've definitely learned is work ethic. More than anything else, I've learned work ethic. The way that they dedicate I've learned from the entirety of Euphoria, like any show, regardless of how big it is, it's an opportunity to entertain people, and it's an opportunity to just give people the night of their lives. And I've seen them have the same energy for a show for 20,000 people to a show for 300 people. You know, and that's something that I really respect about them, that their work ethic has been the same. It's they treat every audience equally. What else I've learned from them is camaraderie. I mean, they've been together since 3,000 years, I think. But it's been almost 22 years, I think, at this point. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. But I think it's been 22 years. And they've still gone strong, especially with my dad and DJ Sir, like, who's the bassist of the band. I mean, their camaraderie has been iconic for so many years. And to this day, they treat each other like family, and they go across the globe so together. And it helps in music. I mean, you're a musician yourself. Even in acting, if you have that sort of bond with each other, it'll always come across in your work. And another last thing I've learned from them, I'll have to think about this one. But definitely has the basic sense of music. I mean, singing backup vocals with the other backup vocalists, currently with Vaishali Barua and Jayashree Basu. I mean, I've learned about music like nobody's business. Both of them are theoretically trained and fantastic singers. And that's actually probably what really helped me join the a cappella group over here, because I can match harmony in a second because of singing backup vocals for so many years.
Yeah.
right? And I think even to merge my vocals with other singers, it's become a lot easier because of the training I've gotten for so many years.
Right.
So I'll say
So
those three.
now those are actually very valuable insights in the sense that insights that come from experience more than, just like passive
Well, I'm glad
understanding
because
of.
I'm flying by the seat of my pants right now. So I'm glad that this is making sense.
That's fine. That's fine. So, I mean, so now we're going to come to the to my favorite part of the show, where
Sure.
I'm going to request you to sing a song for us because you're a phenomenal singer. I've seen some of your videos online, and b enact a few maybe a scene from one of your favorite movies.
Oh my God.
That's a
Whoa.
lot of work. Sorry, I'm putting you through this, but
No. Actually, the easier thing to do will definitely be to sing.
okay, just maybe a couple of dialogues then, like maybe like iconic dialogue that you're really fond of.
Honestly, मुझे अपने फिल्म के dialogue याद आ रहे हैं अभी. But
That's fine. That's fine.
but actually, there were two dialogues that were written for Ek Tarfa that I absolutely love. From day one. One was सपने देखना अच्छा होता है, बहुत अच्छा, पर सारे सपने अपने लिए नहीं देखे जाते, कुछ सपने औरों के लिए, और वो सबसे सुंदर होते हैं. And the other one was when I think Sam asks Hari, तो आप अपने सपनों को भूल गए, आप मेरे लिए लड़े ही नहीं बिल्कुल. And he was like, क्यों? And he goes, क्योंकि जीवन जीने के लिए होता है, हर बार जीतने के लिए नहीं. Which I think is such a fantastic line.
Yeah.
Shout out to my aunt who wrote it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Of course, I can't act it out over here as much as I would
That's
like to, but these are definitely my favorite dialogues.
Right. And next, the song. So, which is that song going to be?
Yeah, subah gava rahe ho. I just woke up. Okay, I'll sing Mehfooz. Mehfooz is my favorite song of all time.
Yeah.
जिंदगी है धुआं तो क्या, बुझ गई हर सुबह तो क्या, रूठा मुझसे खुदा तो क्या, हो गए हम जुदा तो क्या, फासले थे हजारों दरमियां, वक्त के थे हजारों इम्तिहान, फिर भी बन के निशान तेरे होठों के किसी कोने में, हंसी की तरह मैं महफूज हूँ, तेरी आंखों के छिपे दर्द में आंसुओं की तरह मैं महफूज हूँ, महफूज हूँ.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
I wish I had done a little bit more warm up before that, but it's all
That's
now.
fine. That's enough for all of us. All right. Thank you so much again for joining us. Any sort of message that you would like to put across to all of our lovely folks in isolation, both in
Well, I would
and in
definitely like to speak this, especially being in America right now. We're going through a very hard time in the world, in India and in the US. I mean, systematic racism has just reached its peak, and it's been going on for so many years at this point that it's high time that all of us get up and work towards it, and we work against it, and we support Black people, and we support their lives and amplify their voices to an extent that has never been seen before. And we make sure that we are not complacent and are silent ever again. They've been fighting for their rights for so long, and this goes on for multiple people across the world who are minorities, who face so much issue, who face so many issues. We need to stand up against injustice. But I'll also say I'm so in awe of people who've come together and fought against and fought with Black people and fought with them to amplify their voices and fight for injustices against George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and so many more. And fighting for people's rights should never be controversial. Speaking about it should never be controversial. I'm doing everything I can, even from the smallest of things. My aunt actually sent me a fantastic quote the other day, which said, "A snowflake never feels responsible for an avalanche," which is so true. The smallest of things never expect to become big, but these things do, in a positive and a negative way. So definitely, I'll say this. It is time now for all of us to stand together. It is time for all of us to treat each other as human beings, give each other the mere respect of existence, and really not be silent, because this is not the time anymore. Across the globe, all of us have to stand together against injustice, because injustice in one place should be injustice everywhere and should count as a human rights violation everywhere. And for everybody in lockdown, I wish all of you good health, good luck, a lot of love, and I hope everybody is safe. Please, jaake bahar party mat karo, thoda wait karo, and just positive attitude and optimism to everybody. That's what I would like to leave with.
So a lot of people have been asking you to sing another song. Are you open to doing that right now?
Another song?
There are so many comments, so many comments. I'm not even kidding, like.
Oh my
So
God.
many comments to sing.
मुझे गाना भी तो आना चाहिए ना, मैं गाना ही भूल गया कौन सा. Let me sing something in English.
Sure.
I'm really blanking out, actually. Sadly, I can't think of another song. How can I not think of another song?
Mairi is saying Mairi is my favorite
Oh,
song.
everybody sing Apna Ja.
Oh yeah, Apna Ja.
I feel like I'm going to
Exactly.
screw up the lyrics, but let me sing. Did Dad just say Mairi? No, I'm sorry, I can't say I sing Mairi, Dad. Sorry to disappoint you. Can't sing Mairi. You're here. Apna Ja. आंखें बंद कर लूं जो मैं देखूं बस तुम्हें, ख्वाबों में ही कह सकता हूँ अपना तुम्हें, रहने दे मेरा ये वहम पे ही यकीन न जावे, प्यार की ये रात है अब न जा, छोटी सी एक बात है अब न जा, पल दो पल का साथ है अब न जा, जादू सी ये रात है अब न जा.
What a lovely song. Thank you
It
so
is.
much. Thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming online with us. That's
Thank you.
Kinshuk Sen. Everybody, please go and watch his short films. I'm so impressed with all of them. You will find it very entertaining, and they're short, so you don't have to invest a lot of time. Please go see them. And there's also a very catchy song that he's done with Like app. Please go check that out as well. Thank you so much again for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, bye. Take care.
You too.